This week we'll be reviewing the one you've all been waiting for, Sonic
Mania.
Can it live up to the hype?
Hype indeed, Violet. Now this is how a Sonic game is meant to be played, although maybe with some overscan borders. From the go, this feels very much like a Sonic game. Granted, it is a Sonic game, but you know the score. We've been through more games when Henry VIII had wives, and some of these games truly deserved beheading. But Sonic Mania is a different kettle of fish, and Sonic popping out of his hole, a short animation, and the menu music set the scene. Now, like the rest of the game's score, this is the type of music I'd have left playing from my Mega Drive with pride, perhaps blaring out of my room so loud I could hear it whilst eating dinner. And in fact, this whole game captures the trendy as fried beans image that Sonic epitomised in the 90s. Not that blabbering, hot dog eating chump from later games, he just made me feel sick.
I love it!
Sonic was always best when he couldn't speak. His gestures conveyed all the information we needed, and it's good to see they remain here in Sonic Mania. In fact, they've even been improved. Although I do prefer the laid-back Sonic 2. He's like, whatever mate, I'll just chill here. It's the same when he looks up. In earlier games he doesn't even flinch, whereas Mania Sonic is all like, you want me to look up? Like an absolute pant-wetter. Peering through the menus like a hungry rat, the options of the game present themselves, including the ability to change the visual style of the game. Wait a minute, sharp CRT style visuals on a CRT screen. Oh yeah, now that's what I'm talking about, all of the CRT. Alright, that's probably a bit too much. Standard screen mode is fine whilst playing through a 1990s television. But on a modern screen, I do rather like the sharp CRT mode, so that's probably what I'll stick with for the majority of this review. If you're not a fan of the interlaced screen, then there's probably a gazillion other Sonic Mania videos on YouTube, so you're probably best heading to one of those. Now, there are two things I expect from a Sonic game to make it worthwhile. The first is momentum, impulse, velocity, whatever you wish to call it. This impetus is what the original 16-bit games were packed with. When done correctly, Sonic should feel like a pinball game, requiring nothing but the odd precise flick from the player, hence why Sonic Spinball worked so well, even on the Master System. When done incorrectly, Sonic feels like Sonic 4, a sludgy, barricading countering affair that felt fit only for that hot dog idiot. Thankfully, Sonic Mania is packed to the brim with the stuff. It's overflowing with forward motion. Alright, sometimes mixed with an effortless backward motion, but every crevice of the game carries you blissfully through the air, even on stages where you might not necessarily expect it, and it feels marvellous. Sonic is the kind of game which a 4-year-old could play and look like they knew what they were doing, and paired with my skill level, that's essentially what's happening right here. My second expectation from a Sonic game is free will, without getting into the philosophical nature of that. The original games usually presented a variety of interconnected paths, allowing you to take easier high routes if you could tackle the more precise jumping, or the more trudge-laden low routes, but which were often littered with secrets to make up for your fall. Again, Mania is littered with multiple branching and interconnected routes, something I found particularly useful on the Flying Battery Zone, because for some reason I always need to switch my thumbstick direction to the direction Sonic is going, and when that means accommodating his movements after being forced in a different direction from a spring, the game counts that as attempting to slow down. It's very counterintuitive, to me at least. But the choice is absolutely sublime, and shows that this is way more than a fan game. To be fair though, all you've got to do is look at the credit screen to confirm that this is way more than a fan game. although Christian Whitehead, aka the Taxman, did start with creating the fan game Retro Sonic way back in 2008. Sega's tactic of hiring this clearly talented chap rather than issuing Nintendo-like lawsuits was clearly a strong card. And yes, those credits are still rolling, very quickly as well. But in conjunction with these essential mechanics, we have a compendium of features which make this a smile-inducing game. Tails is back. He's as dense as ever, but he's also quite useful at times, and retains the ability for a second player to grab a pad and offer some human intelligence to proceedings. We've also got Knuckles along with his own levels, but I'm not going to go into too much detail here because I'm more about the feels than the details, in this case at least. And feel I do because we have a variety of incredibly well executed nostalgic levels, which although done many times in the past actually works well this time. The tighter mechanics actually add to that wistful feeling, bringing an aspect of new which we all encountered when playing Sonic for the first time in 1991. Nostalgia isn't all about blind repetition, it's about evoking the same feelings we had when we were younger. For instance, I'm sure those blocks were more forgiving in the first game, but the frustration of finding this out is the same as I felt when playing the original game and getting killed anyway. So, bravo! There's always two versions of me which needs pleasing when it comes to a Sonic game. A nostalgic me and a gameplay me. Thankfully, the familiarity here ticks the nostalgia box. Whilst the gameplay box is kept more than pleased with tons of new features, new routes, tweaks to the music, the controls, that new attack, and of course the plethora of brand new zones. Interlaced elegantly between more familiar scenery, these levels keep intrigue turned up high, especially with those new bosses which seem to litter the end of every act. But thankfully the difficulty of these bosses is pitched tremendously well. Rather than getting harder, each seems to just be drastically different, requiring a different approach and keeping you on your toes. This was done with previous Sonic games, but it's on a whole new level here. We've even got to beat Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine at one point, which is frankly marvellous. And there is an absolute shaft full of other content, all with incredible attention to detail. I love how you can burn those troublesome spiked logs now, for instance, and that you can't walk off the edge of these spikes anymore. And that you can see further in front of you with the widescreen aspect ratio. We've got obstacles which seem familiar yet hold enough difference to be exciting. We've got familiar special zones, we have bonus rounds which sniff of subtle familiarity, and we have a two-player versus mode which makes me want to lick my Sonic 2 cartridge with a glistening tongue of youthful memories. We've even got secrets and extras which hark back to the cheats of the original game, such as being able to swap the sprites around and explore the level maps in debug mode. I remember playing Sonic for the first time on my Mega Drive, and it wasn't just a great game which made Sonic memorable, it was the feeling of holding the cutting edge of gaming in my hands and watching these dazzling, fast-paced graphics fly about. I guess as well as a great game, it was a thing of pride for Mega Drive owners, perhaps a smug satisfaction over those childish 8-bit owners.
Whoa, nice graphics! I'd like to get my hands on that game.
You mean you haven't played it yet? We can play it on my Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh, how we laughed. Hardware progression has essentially made that feeling a relic of the past now, but I've always been disappointed that Sega didn't take Sonic down the same route as Mario, with ever more enhanced platform variants, getting the most out of each new system. And when they did do 3D games, they did them right. It's one factor which made me cautious of Sonic Mania, because although the game looked good, it's still based on graphics of the past. It feels like it's perhaps the Sonic which should have appeared on the Saturn or maybe the Dreamcast. In fact, I believe the engine was designed to appear somewhere between the Mega Drive and Saturn graphics standard to evoke those warm feelings of the past. Thankfully, none of that matters though, because it works beautifully. 90s Sonic in HD looks glorious, even when you smash it back into a bygone era of indistinct definition on a 90s CRT. Sonic Mania is a labour of love. From these TVs, reminiscent of the 90s Sega adverts.
Oh, isn't life dull?
What we need is a Sega. That's a games console. Plug me in and things will really light up.
To Mega Drive Power Light introductions. It's something we don't often associate with the Sonic franchise anymore, but hopefully a sign of better things to come. I won't sit here and tell you there's 13 zones, I won't tell you all about the glitches which have been found so far, some of which being quite funny. I won't tell you about how much of a pain in the backside it was for me to relocate my Xbox One to film it on this CRT. Because once you play Sonic Mania, nothing else matters in your life anymore. There are no problems. Everything makes sense. It's blooming beautiful. Just remember to eat. Oh, and he's still called Robotnik, okay? Thanks for watching. There's some more videos here. Methods of helping me under that. I guess have a great evening. See you later.